Hey, what up? It's Brad with Home Love Construction. Welcome to another episode of the Critical Path podcast. I have a very, I would say, dear friend of mine at this point, Shon Holyfield, here with me today. Shon's an amazing individual, and I've been actually wanting to do one of these with you since like you were on my list of people to talk to since literally like before we even launched the podcast. Because I was like, man, when I get to talk to Shon, it's going to be like so great because I've learned so much from you in the little bit of time that I've known you. So I think our conversation is going to really help a lot of people. But why don't you introduce yourself and tell people who you are?
Well, I'm Shon Holyfield, and I'm also a dear friend of Brad's. Very excited to be here. My background is I'm an attorney, and I studied tax law, which is not a very exciting topic, for quite some time. Then later in life,
it's exciting to rich people.
It's exciting to some people. Like, a handful of people just love the tax stuff. But the focus that I've had for the last decade has really been more surrounding people, culture, HR, empowering workplaces to not fall into the same pitfalls that I fell into, which are problems with recruiting, productivity, turnover. So that's a little bit of background and information on me. I was born and raised in the Southeast. I now live in Florida.
Yeah. Oh, you officially would say that you live in Florida at this point?
Yeah, I actually legally moved here a couple years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. When we bought the house, we bought the house that Brad's company is beautifully remodeling.
Shameless plug.
Yeah, shameless plug. But it's true. It's true. That's when we switched.
Oh, smart.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And obviously there's tax implications to being a resident in Florida. And
I mean, slightly. From where I'm at right now I'm in that startup phase of my organization.
Yeah.
I'm not personally making a ton of money off of the company. Actually, I'm making no money off of the company. let's just cut the crap. I'm making no money right now off the company. So there's like zero tax implications other than that.
He's like, where are my write-offs going?
Yeah, there's none of that.
So you also, I'm going to give a little bit of background here for you because it's very relevant. Is you grew and scaled a company over I think it was 13 or 14 years. TTR.
I get it. I get where you're headed. So
just to set the stage and people understand like what you've done because it's not inconsequential.
Okay. Yeah. Or in the positive, it's consequential.
It is consequential.
Yeah, it's consequential, right? So so more of a professional background. When I came out of law school, went to Notre Dame, I started my career in tax and worked at a company for a couple of years as a consultant. It was the largest company that did what they did on the planet, big company. Arthur Andersen, which some of you may remember before it fell apart as a result of Enron. But now I'm getting down to this whole different vein. So I left there before they fell apart.
Hold on, I'm sorry. Arthur Andersen was the consultant that they worked for Enron, or Enron was a major client?
Yeah, Enron was a major client. I think it was their Houston. It was an office in Texas. I believe it was Houston, Austin, or Dallas, and that I don't recall.
Oh, wow.
I wasn't with them at the time this happened, but they were part of hiding things that shouldn't have been hidden from the public.
Wow.
And that office was, and the entire organization of 80-ish thousand employees just went under.
Right.
Yeah.
So you had exited by the time that all
occurred. I left there. I was in the Atlanta office doing tax work.
Yeah.
Left there and eventually landed at a company called Cox Enterprises, COX Enterprises, and worked there for several years. Really became involved in tax work tied to the telecommunications industry. Distance communication, just communication. So left there, started my own organization, my own company, where initially I was just doing consulting. I was helping.
Oh, wow.
I was helping other telecommunications companies that I had connections with, AT&T, Verizon, and others that I'd worked with more as a colleague at a different company for years. Was starting to work with them on a consultative basis in this area of tax, like how to correctly put taxes on bills. And like I said, not exciting party starter stuff, right? But what I spotted at that time, and I think this ties into where you're headed, was that there was a need in the marketplace for expertise in this area, and there was a lack of it.
Yeah.
And it was looking and realizing that, hey, there is this whole area out in the world that needs a thing. And there's not someone presently providing that thing. That was part of the origin story of the company that I later sold 10 years later for nearly $500 million.
Yeah.
But it all started with that observation, like, hey, there's a need here. And people need this tax stuff and they don't really have a good way to get it.
Yeah.
And there were some players in the space, because a lot of times people will stop themselves from jumping into a business venture because they're maybe fearful that there's others in the area. It's saturated. Right. Oh, I'm just going to be someone else, another option along the line.
Yeah. Dude, look at me. I'm in one of the most saturated, not really, industries everywhere you look. In Pinellas County, in Florida, in anywhere, there's contractors everywhere.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
But my opinion, if you don't mind me being so bold as to share it.
Yes, please do.
The angle that
That's my whole angle here.
Yeah. The angle that Home Love has taken not only was what initially attracted my wife and I to reach out to your company before we even knew you as a person.
Yeah.
Which is the angle of like, people want to love their home.
Yeah.
So, I could be R&H Construction or ABX Contractors or this, that, like, time out. Let's just call it what we want it to be, which is Home Love Construction. We want people to love their home. Yeah. No different than the company that I just started, which is Amazing Workplace. We want people to have an amazing workplace, right? So part of starting a business is not just having the idea of what out there do I want to do, am I passionate about? Yeah. What do I feel like I could do better? Yeah. But do what Brad did. Do what I did. Like, don't make the mistake of calling your company some name that nobody understands. And like, what is Garbuza? I mean, I made that up. Maybe there is a company called Garbuza, right?
If there's a Garbuza, please comment.
Super sorry about that. So not to pick on the name, cool name, but that's it's a mistake people commonly make. Is that kind of like, but anyway, so that origin story of like, why am I here? I believe you asked me to be here because I did start a company in my basement. I grew it in 10 years' time to a $500 million company that was sold to a publicly traded company. And it was neat. And I did it with under 200 people.
Oh my God. Yeah. Amazing, man. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's cool.
So I feel like there should be like applause and like we can maybe put in some applause. Dude, it's so great. So, and now the what I've observed from afar about many people with you, I get to see it a little more closely, is when somebody has a big score, then they look back and they're like, okay, what they have to figure out what they do next. Yeah. Is kind of always like the biggest thing for those people is when you get to when you hit a goal. I don't know if you had a goal necessarily, but when you have a huge win and you're like, wow, holy shit, I'm here. Then you have to reset from that new point and say, okay, where do I want to go from here? And for you, that's Amazing Workplace.
Yeah, it is. I was fortunate.
Which we're a client, Home Love Construction has been a client of for a little over a year now. Yeah. Just over a year.
Yeah. And you have a certified Amazing Workplace.
That's right.
Your people are genuine, like a huge percentage of your employees are genuinely happy coming to work every day, which is phenomenal. Yeah. I mean, I think that's public knowledge, but it is. Like a stupid high percentage. Yeah. In a good way. Yeah. Not in a bad way. Which is not normal in the construction industry because we work with a lot of construction companies. So it's an unusual, it ties into, people love working here too. Yeah. I was fortunate in that I had a friend of mine years ago ask me early in the evolution of the tax company to take a look at for myself. Why is it you do what you do? Like, what's your why? And I think there's been a lot of consultants that have talked about this over the years and bright people, like, find your why. Like, why do you do what you do? Yeah. For me, it was a reflection on the choices that I'd made that led me to that moment was very useful for me, which is a
reflection on the choices you made that led you to that moment.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So like just rewinding back to law school, I came out of law school. I went to Notre Dame. It's a great school. And learned a lot. Phenomenal professors. Love the environment. Yeah. I was fortunate to have done really well academically there, and therefore, as a result of that, my options were many. Like I had a lot of choices in terms of where I could go work. Right. One of the choices I had, this is back in the 90s, was to go to a large law firm, and the pay was phenomenal. It was 6 figures pay back in the 90s. The other option was to go where I went, which was a consulting company that was. I think they paid me just under $40,000 a year, which is where I started. Yeah. My choice at that moment was no BS, I just liked the people.
Oh, wow.
At the company where I was paid less, but I really liked that group.
Yeah.
And I go back through my career, and the choices that I made, either professionally or personally, they were always driven by who I was going to be with.
Yeah.
Not necessarily what I was doing.
Wow.
But it was who.
Dude, you're so right.
And that was such an influence on me personally.
Yeah.
So in that moment, years later, when I was asked to reflect on and communicate what is your why? Like, why do you do what you do?
Yeah.
It all kind of like ran through my head almost instantly. And I very quickly spit out, I do what I do because I love seeing other people do well. Like I love, and I pulled up an email at that time with my business partner that was there asking me these questions. And it was an email from a staff who previously had worked at a company where she didn't get personal time off or PTO or time, like paid time off, right?
Right.
And she'd shot me an email from a vacation spot that she was at with her husband and her family, thanking me for giving her this opportunity to actually not have to worry about getting paid and also simultaneously being able to enjoy time with her family. And I pulled that up and I said, this is why I do what I do. It's a moment like that. It's not for the acknowledgement. It's not for the recognition or the pat on the back. It's that I know that I genuinely had this positive impact on another person. And then that led me down the path of better articulating or communicating.
Yeah.
That my purpose is to improve people's lives.
Wow.
If I can be part of that journey to genuinely improve someone's life in some way. Yeah. It doesn't even have to be me that did it directly. I don't even need to get the credit. But if I can create something that has that outcome, it makes all the work that I'm doing worthwhile.
Yeah.
And that has always been, if I look back, what's motivated me. It's not, candidly, it's not been money. If I was more money motivated, I would have sold my company for like $2 billion. Truly. Like I look back and I'm like, I probably should have gotten a little bit more money motivated. because I could have made a lot more money had I just like smartly paid more attention to money. I do my best to surround myself by people that have their eye on that, because it's not my strong suit. It isn't. I mean, I've got an accounting background. I'm not stupid on money, but but it's just never.
But there's a difference between having your attention on it and being like it has like
My least favorite meetings throughout the course of my career were all the finance. Finance, by definition, is the process of looking at financial information and using it to make decisions.
That's right.
Accounting is the process of systematically organizing and storing financial information.
That's right. Yeah.
Two groups: one gathers and stores, the other looks at to make decisions.
That's right.
I didn't really love the meetings with either group. I love the people in those groups, but I didn't really love those particular meetings. Yeah.
It
was never my cup of tea. Like for me, my happiest time was in the design or the creation of the software that we created, or the interaction with the clients, or going through and listening to feedback and finding meaningful ways to improve the outcomes that we were trying to achieve with our customers.
Yeah.
That was like, that's the stuff that gets me all jazzed up and excited, right? Like, let's do this. Yeah. Anyway, so that was the purpose.
Yeah.
So you had brought up like, how did I go from maybe tax to that, right?
Yeah.
How did I do that transition? I think that was the original question.
Yeah, and kind of like what was the driver for AWP, Amazing Workplace, moving out of your exit? Like you get to this, boom, big win.
Now what, right? So
So
that purpose I had, so long-winded, this is the problem with being a lawyer. A lot of this, not a lot of this.
It's all good, man.
So I had this purpose, which I knew was really part of my success and part of what I enjoyed. And it was really my purpose, right? That I copy pasted, edited, and used for our organization. So when it came to like, well, what's next? Well, the good news is that, at least I say the good news because I'm not yet making any money for myself. The good news is that I wasn't highly money motivated. So if that had really been my purpose, I would be very miserable right now, and I wouldn't be smiling. Probably wouldn't be on this podcast. I'd be like chasing down something. But the good news is that was the purpose that I really loved and enjoyed. So when I looked at, well, what's next? What do you do? Like you have all this money or whatever. And we did a lot of philanthropic activities, which was really beneficial for ourselves personally.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time with family. And when I say a lot of time, it was like months.
Yeah.
And then as my grandmother smartly pointed out years and years ago, the best thing you can do in your life is work.
Yeah.
Find something to do, be productive, because you will live a long life. And she lived to be 99, and my grandfather lived to be almost 98.
Yeah.
And they both worked until the day that they moved on.
Yeah.
And I say, I mean, they did physically get to a point where they weren't able to work, but they were always doing something, whether it was being active with their church, whether it was being active with their friends, whether it was going to the gym, whether it was helping others out. They were always productive.
Yeah.
And that was great advice that my grandmother gave me at a young age. Like, be productive. Don't just, when you, and she was always very encouraging. So you're going to do great. Yeah. She always had that positive attitude. Like, you're going to do great in life and this and that. Yeah. But when you achieve what you had as an objective, like, find something else to do. Right. So for me, the journey that I went through in the first company, which was a great journey, and I had the benefit of a lot of people that helped me in many ways, whether that was staff giving me feedback that I was able to use to become a better professional and leader, or whether it was peers in industry, folks like yourself that I could have talked to at the time to give like advice and guidance, if you will. Yeah. I came through that journey and really arrived at like, well, there's 3 core things every business needs to be successful. Yeah. And they all come down into one thing, which is people. Yep. That's right. You need customers to have a successful business, and you need employees in order to be able to deliver to your customers. That's right. And those are people. That's right. And as it relates to people, you need to attract the right people, customers, employees. You need to get them to either buy or be productive. Buy if it's a customer, productivity if it's an employee. Yeah. And you want to keep all of them. That's right. Right? That's right. So that's that retention. Yes. And when I looked back at my journey through my old company, I suffered from massive failures in failure to recruit, attract customers, failures to get people to buy, be productive. Yeah. Failures in retaining, meaning that I had turnover and I lost customers or customer churn. Right. Yet we spent a lot of time solving those problems throughout that journey. And by the time we got to the end of that journey in that tax company, we had 0% turnover for the 4 years preceding the sale. 4 years of zero employee turnover. Yeah. With how many employees? Like rough order of magnitude? Just over 150. Yeah. That's unbelievable, dude. Yeah. Well, we focused on the right thing. We focused on their happiness, not some other stuff, right? Yeah. Like people want to be happy, generally speaking. Most people that I know want to be happy. Yeah. You can't force that, but you can certainly do things to listen, make adjustments, be in communication, and find ways to improve that. So these lessons I learned along the way, these things that I had failed in doing, because I didn't do them great. I really didn't for many, many years. I knew coming out of that venture, gosh, that not only is that something that we solved, but I really enjoyed it. Yeah. Like that last 5 years of running the organization, it wasn't the lack of turnover. That was great. Yeah. Those were the funnest. It's just such an amazing stat. Like, thank you. Yeah. But those are the funnest years. Like, we had a waiting list of recruits. Like, we had people that loved our organization. Wow. A waiting list of recruits. Of people who wanted to come work there. We had people reaching out to us. We didn't even have job postings, and they were reaching out to our organization asking, is there any way I could come work for your company? Yeah. I mean, just word of mouth was getting out there. Yeah. We were the number 1, number 2, I think in 1 year, the number 3 best place to work in the Pacific Northwest for 7 years. Wow. And it was such an amazing journey, not to shameless plug on the word amazing. Yeah. But it's such an amazing journey that when I got to the end of it, and to your point, like, well, what do you do next? Well, I knew I wanted to work. Yeah. I already had my purpose, which is to improve people's lives. Yeah. That really improved people's lives. What we did there really improved people's lives. Right. And I had this massive body of research that I had done to fix things in my organization that was just sitting there. Like, all this mental energy. Your IP. Yeah. Your intellectual property. But all in my head for the most part, and or stuff that regardless. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So got together with a programmer like I did with my old company and started looking at, well, how do we find a way to create software that can empower others to achieve the same results that we were able to achieve? Yeah. And that's ultimately what led us down the path of creating an amazing workplace with our people platform. Yeah. We've got a patent filed with the U.S. Patent Office for the conversation technology that we've developed where it really is like a human conversation with customers and our employees. Yeah. And the feedback that we're able to the information we're able to give to organizations today is solving recruiting, productivity, and turnover.
Wow.
As well as it's helping those same customers connect better with their customers to solve problems like customer service or sales or what have you. But we started on the employee side. So we have so many stories on the employee side. And they're like, heart moving, tear jerking stories of people that, anyway, I could go
I actually printed on the employee side. I printed something that I did. Dude, I never do research for these, but this is like, Ricky, do I ever do research for podcasts? Never. They're always off the cuff, but I did some research for this. So I went on Glassdoor for your old company. This is not a gotcha. This is a good, don't worry. First of all, like 4.6 or 7 or something like that rating on Glassdoor, which is ridiculous because Glassdoor is kind of like a cesspool of blah, blah, blah.
We started at 3.2.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You told me that.
Yeah. We were at a 3.2 before I started. And we never told people to do Glassdoor reviews. We followed all the rules with Glassdoor.
Yeah.
Don't get started on Glassdoor. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But,
I know. Yeah, I know. I found it.
It's
so
fine.
I was like, but this is such a good thing. So there's like a section of highlights by sentiment, like top highlights. So there's a pros and cons section. So I'm going to read you the con first.
Yeah.
Because this is going to blow you away. The con for your old company, and I specifically looked up CEO as like the keyword.
Yeah.
The one con that came up, which is mentioned in 3 reviews, management, especially the CEO, really sees the best in others. Literally, it's a screenshot. That's what the con is. Can you believe that? That's the con. And then the pros in 7 reviews, management is amazing and so supportive of all the staff. That's the kind of attitude more places should adopt because when people actually want to come to work, it shows in the work they do. In 5 reviews, these are all for Shon's company that he sold for $500 million. One person said lots of time off, which is funny. But if they're productive, I mean, shit, who cares? This company actually cares for its employees. And then the hours are perfect and flexible. The benefits are amazing in 3 reviews. So like really, so anyways, I think that's hard evidence that you did obviously nail the people side of the organization.
We created an amazing workplace.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. I gotta start using the language more to plug it.
It was more, we knew we had done that and we felt good about it. And then you had asked, this is a very long-winded answer to your question. This is what lawyers do. Just lots of words. I shouldn't say that. Lawyers are great.
But you use simple words, unlike a lot of other lawyers.
I do my best.
Yeah. You do a good job of that.
You got to keep it simple. We should talk about the words thing at some point. But like how do we bring that amazing workplace experience to the world? Because every workplace can be amazing.
Yes.
They won't all look the same.
No.
Employees may not say the things that they said there.
Yeah.
It may be that what makes that workplace amazing is that am I allowed to curse on this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Okay. There. Yeah. we get our shit done and then we all go home and that's fine. Like it doesn't need to be like, foosball tables and massages or yoga classes or whatever it is that a lot of organizations do that their employees do love.
Yeah.
Really owning who you are and finding a way to bring a technology that empowers organizations to achieve that outcome no matter what they want to achieve was really really the goal.
Amazing. Okay, let's talk about words.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you mentioned, so we actually spent all weekend at an AI seminar, you and I both did, with our friend Manuel Suarez, which was amazing.
It was amazing.
Dude, I'm literally going to bring like as many staff as I can possibly bring to the next one because I was literally slapping myself during the seminar and I'm like, why don't I have my whole team here? I'm like, every single person in my company needs to be using, like I've been to 3 of those and it was the first time I realized like, oh my gosh, my permit tech needs to use ChatGPT to take because he's responsible for sending out weekly updates to all the people who are in permitting. Mm-hmm. But he has a board, he has a spreadsheet, he has a permit board that has all the data that he needs and he translates it into writing. That's a ChatGPT function in like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
You upload the board, you say, write an email for each of these clients, boom, cut, paste, done. Yeah. He goes home and enjoys his weekend.
Like, true.
Anyways, Manuel had you create, he basically did a demo with you where he had you create an avatar. It came out amazing.
Yeah.
But in you have to do basically like a monologue to give it your voice.
Yeah.
You talked about words
Mhm.
and the meaning of words.
Yeah.
And that's something that is very important to you. If you actually go back and watch, Shon has like quickly added in the definitions of like between 5 and 7 words just in the times that we've been talking here, which I love. It's important.
Yeah.
Because you tell us why it's important.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'll give an abbreviated version of the story. So, as a young kid, I just didn't feel like a smart person. As time went on and I became more capable and smarter at grades and tests and all of this stuff, I was of the opinion, it was an opinion that anyone that works hard, it was also the way I was raised, can achieve whatever they want to achieve. You don't necessarily have to be the smartest person or the tallest or the strongest or whatever. Just if you're willing to work hard and really, keep your nose clean.
Yeah.
As my
important one.
Yeah, very important one. As my grandmother or my mother would say, or my dad, like, hey, keep your nose clean, do the right thing.
Yeah.
You can achieve great things in life.
Yeah.
So fast forward to, I'm now running this very successful, very technical, very nerdy, tax company, right. And at that
tax
point,
software company, like
tax
the nerdiest possible.
Like I was like, do right.
Yeah.
We were at that time not an amazing workplace. We're working our way there, right? Yeah. We were in the transition period of things aren't great. We're in the middle of fixing things on our way towards things being amazing. And in that journey, one of the things that we were really looking at is who do we want to bring into the organization? What is that future going to look like based on who we bring in today? What are we putting there for tomorrow? And a very bright individual that I worked with, Harvard graduate, was a huge fan of testing and or other ways to gather information about the applicants before we brought them in, right?
Yeah.
But it was
kind of the pre-screening type mentality.
Yeah, the pre-screening. Great. I mean, if that's what your organization wants to do, great. It's not a right or wrong. It's really like, what's a good fit for your organization? But it was in the dialogue that he and I had adjacent to that activity that got my mind kind of like going on stuff. Like I'd always known that the success I had in that space, tax, was based on my ability to simplify it for an audience that was not a tax person.
Totally.
And throughout the years, like executives had said that to me. Other people within companies I'd worked at had said that to me, like, keep doing that because we appreciate it, because we really don't want all that stuff, right?
Dude, just to make you more right, the number one point of feedback that I get in live conversations with people who have seen my construction videos is that they can understand what I'm talking about.
There you go.
That this is the number one thing that people say to me.
I think explainer videos are pretty popular. Right.
We kill it.
So, I mean, yours, but also just in general, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because people want to understand things.
Yeah.
It feels good to understand.
That's
it can be frustrating not to understand.
Yeah.
So at this time, super brilliant person, great individual, shared their point of view that, people have an intelligence level.
Yeah.
This was their point of view.
Yeah.
And that certain people are capable and certain people are less capable. And it just didn't sit. It instantly didn't sit right with me. I think in part because as a kid, I wasn't, in my opinion, a smart person.
Totally.
But I'd grown into a smarter person by working hard and applying myself and keeping my nose clean, right? So I didn't like this idea that like, well, there's a group of people that kind of the haves or the have-nots or the intelligent or the not intelligent.
Right.
So I grabbed a Sanford Binet IQ test.
Yeah.
And I removed all of the complicated words.
Yeah.
And presented it with the complicated words removed, but same questions, just simpler words.
Right.
Didn't really materially change the test. I just took the vocabulary out. Right.
Yeah.
Gave it to a ton of staff, like 40-ish staff.
Yeah.
Not a single person got a single question wrong. And I,
dude, that's magic.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I later went back to graduate school at Yale University up in Connecticut, right?
Yeah.
And I was talking with an executive there, professor, about this thing I did, this IQ test stuff. And without even any hesitation, he laughed and he goes, yeah, I mean, IQ tests are predominantly vocabulary tests in the sense that if your vocabulary is greater or higher, chance, meaning that you're better read, that you're going to score better. I mean, the math component is different, but on the non-math component, it's tied to just a person's vocabulary.
Wow.
And that's not, if you like look into what intelligence is, which is,
no, that's in no way, shape, or form a measure of intelligence.
Intelligence is the ability to really see what's actually there.
Right.
The ability to differentiate between things that are similar or different.
Yeah.
And
things which are identical.
Right. And to use what you have, right?
Yeah.
Most people can use what they have.
Yeah.
The only difference is how much they have stored.
Right.
In many cases. That's vocabulary.
Yeah.
Right. It's like what I have stored. So I routinely talk to my teams about how smart they are.
Oh, wow.
Reminding them that every one of you is highly intelligent.
Wow.
Every one of you is capable of understanding and doing anything.
Yeah.
Now, we may have to simplify it on our path down towards understanding that complexity.
Yeah.
But if we start at the basics and we work our way towards it, we'll get there together.
That's right.
We'll get there together.
Dude. And I'm going through this exact same thing with my accounting team. And I just dude, I always realize so much shit about how I should handle people whenever I'm around you, because you're really good. You're really good at handling people.
Thanks.
Like that's definitely a you have many superpowers, but that's like top. And I'm sure you know that and have been told that by other people, but like you're very good at handling people in a way that makes them want to contribute more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, just,
but in a real way.
Yeah.
Like it's not like there's nothing. Yeah. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I appreciate that. Yeah, there was one little side story tied to the words. One of the things that we did at the tax company, I researched, and thankfully Harvard and Google exist, because in 2010, which was a couple years into the existence of my company, Harvard and Google did a study and identified that there are 1,022,000. Why it's that exact number, I don't know. Unique English words as of that moment in time.
Yeah.
Okay. New words get added.
Right.
So 1,022,000 words. And I remember hearing years ago, like really smart people may know 60, 70, 30, 50,000. I mean, the numbers are different, but really smart people often know less than 100,000 words, which means that there are 900,000+ words that most people just don't really know the meanings to. They may be loosely familiar with it, whatever. So,
and that's just English.
That's just English.
Holy crap.
So, and I experienced that in my career because I was doing telecommunications, communications over distance.
Yeah.
And there was a book. It's like a 3-inch book. Titled The Telecommunications Dictionary, full of nothing but telecommunications words.
Wow.
Words that I'm not going to get into in our talk here today.
Yeah.
But it was a whole guide to be able to understand conversations that you were having with others in this industry.
Wow.
And they're not alone. Healthcare's got their own. Manufacturing has their own. Every industry has their own. Construction has its own.
Yes.
We won't get into those.
Yeah.
And you realize pretty quickly it's not an intelligence problem. People are actually pretty universally smart if they're willing to apply themselves and work hard and everything else, keep their nose clean. It's a vocabulary problem.
That's right.
Right? So I trained my legal team to use less than 9,000 unique words.
Wow.
To communicate through our software all of these tax laws. Now, what's your best guess? Out of the 1,022,000 words that are out there, what's your best guess if you took every tax law and you took every word in every tax law and you put it in a giant list and then you deduplicated it so that it's like every word only shows up once?
Yeah.
How many of the 1,022,000 words do you think show up in the tax laws? Just wild guess.
50,000.
Just over 876,000 unique words.
How is that even possible?
We got a lot of good lawyers. They create a lot of tax laws. 876,000 unique words exist across the tax laws in the United States.
Almost every word that exists in the English language is in the tax law.
So you'll hear people say, well, tax is so complicated and it's really hard and it's really difficult. It's the words.
Oh my God.
We had individual clients of ours. At the
Dude, that
tax
seems so correct to me, what you just said.
Yeah.
The 800K out of a million, basically.
Mhm.
Wow.
And I would bet if we took all the construction terminology and put it into a giant list like that, it would probably be in the hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
It would
You're
have
probably
to be.
right.
Yeah, it would have to be.
Yeah.
We
If
had
you took all the regulations and everything, absolutely would.
Mhm.
Probably the state of Florida alone. In the state of Florida, construction is the second most heavily regulated industry by number of pages of regulation that apply to it.
Oh, wow.
Medical is the only one with more.
Oh, wow.
It's also the second most litigated industry.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Again, behind medical. Yeah. Because I mean, the number of laws, you directly correlate to the amount of litigation around it.
That, and then any topic that's directly personal to people.
That's right.
They tend to be
That's right.
more likely to get upset.
Yeah.
Their home.
Yeah.
Their
right.
family.
Right.
Their health.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Top three, right?
Yeah.
We had an email.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite, and I read this email probably 2-3 times a year for years.
Yeah.
We got an email from a tax professional that had been using our software for years, and she had been working in tax for over 35 years.
Mm-hmm.
And she sent in an email. Just sent an email.
Yeah.
Like, no, we didn't reach out. There was no request for feedback. There wasn't any. And in that email, she shared that in her 35 plus years of work, I think it was 38 years, but in her 35 plus years of working, that the last few years using our software was the first time that she had ever felt like she knew how to do her job.
Wow. Wow.
And
wow.
I still get partially choked up even remembering that communication. Like, and the email was simply to say thank you.
Wow.
Thank you for explaining things in a way that I understand so that I don't feel stupid at work.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
Like, that's amazing.
I know. Like, I mean, like, you know,
yeah, I know.
So it's that, like,
I didn't even get the email and I feel it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's real. Like that's definitely a huge issue that people run into. And you literally, it's making me think of like, oh, wow, who in their job am I making feel stupid by not making it simpler for them?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like where I immediately take everything and I'm like, okay, where am I doing that? You know?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm very, not in like a negative way. I'm just very like I have very high expectations of myself.
Yeah.
So I hear that and I'm like, okay, where am I doing that wrong? You know?
Well, you also have another problem, and because we're friends, I can say this. You have a problem that most people may not be aware of, but those that know you're really, you suffer from this problem.
Okay.
You're highly intelligent.
Oh, thanks, man.
It's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
And therefore, like, you're, you get the idea. You are very bright.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, I have on that point of you're always very complimentary to people. I had another thing that I pulled up. So this is from
this is research number 2.
Research piece number 2. Yeah, exactly. So this is from some article. I went through, I mean, obviously I didn't go through every article you ever wrote, but I read through like probably 5 or 6 different articles that had been written on you or interviews that you'd done. And this was a particularly good one from a while back. And in it says, so this is about the culture at your company. So it says, they are never mean or disparaging of anyone. This is an essential part of the company's identity for Shon. Having fun at another's expense is not tolerated and serves no purpose at the company. He boils it down to a very simple philosophy reflected in his approach to management. You're either nice or you're not. You can't fake care.
Yeah. Or as I would say, my Nana said, maybe on one occasion she said it this way.
Yeah.
But she normally said, you can't fake care. But I would repeatedly say, you can't fake give a shit.
Yeah.
You either really give a shit or you don't.
Dude, I cannot believe you just said that. Yeah. I used to say that. You just actually blew my fucking mind. When I was I was in the Army.
No, I did not know this.
Yeah. So I went to.
Now people are wondering, well, how close of friends are they? Right?
Dude, it's like you talk about.
We spend a lot of time together. We just.
But it's like the conversations are over here and that's a fact over here.
Yeah, that's exactly.
But yeah, so I was in the Army. So
what did you do in the Army? Can I ask that?
Yeah, I was a lieutenant in the infantry branch.
Hell yeah.
I graduated from West Point in 2015.
what the actual fuck?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I got a congressional nomination to the Naval Academy.
Oh, wow.
As well as a nomination to West Point. And I didn't,
did you?
I didn't go.
Oh, shit.
Like I chased a girl to college and my parents were not thrilled about it. But
oh my God. Wow.
But West Point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. That's badass.
They paid me. It's fun. Yes.
That's super badass. It's like super badass.
Yeah, it was great.
All right. So you're in the infantry.
Yeah. So I was an infantry officer. And one of the things, so one of the key kind of like trainings in my life is I went to Ranger. I graduated Ranger School also in 2015. And you know what Ranger School is?
For, absolutely.
Like in the Army?
Yeah. I mean, the reason I applied to the academy is I was fully focused on being a Navy SEAL.
Wow.
Until I met a girl in high school, and then I was fully focused on chasing her to college.
Yeah.
It just switched like that. So in any event.
Crazy how that happens,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. So one of the things.
Special ops. So yes.
That's right.
Ranger, Marine Recon.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Special Forces.
Yep.
Yeah, you get the idea.
Yeah. So one of the major points that you kind of pick up, it's not necessarily like in any handbook or anything, but one thing that you pick up in Ranger School is like, if you don't give a shit about the people around you, you're done. Because in Ranger School, they have this amazing system that is, I don't even know what to compare it to. There's a peer rating system in Ranger School. And if you get a low peer rating, you get dropped from Ranger School. Like if your peers don't rate you highly in different categories, you get dropped. So and people know, like, because the instructor's never going to know how you are when you're pulling security all night, and whether you're like basically making it possible for the people who are in leadership at that moment to actually pass on their drills.
Yeah,
the people doing it are the people who know, right?
Yeah.
So there was kind of this thing that I just like picked up of like, either you really give a shit or you're faking it.
Yeah.
And when I actually got out into the big Army, I experienced so much fake giving a shit that it like immediately I was like, oh, no. This, like, I cannot continue here. And I wound up figuring, like, literally not even like somehow this happened like through like fucking like universal whatever divine intervention. I literally got exited out of the Army with my like no what's it called? No recoupment. Like because I didn't do 5 years. I did like 2.5 years. So I literally got like my wish was granted. I was like, man, I decided one day, I was like, man, I really would get out if I had the opportunity. And then like, boom, like the process of me getting out started like the next week. It was crazy.
That's amazing.
It was amazing. It was like, so, but the bottom line, the thing you said is I would literally say that exact same thing is like, if I think more what I would say is like, if you're faking giving a shit, people will know. Or it's like, no, I think I even said the same thing. Like, you can't fake giving a shit.
Yeah.
I literally would say that exact same phrase.
Yeah.
Dude, that's blowing, like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So the other piece of that is not having fun at other people's expense.
Yeah.
Dude, I admire that so much because that's where did I first see that? The first time I ever saw that was I was reading an article about you and I saw that you said that and it immediately was like a dagger, it like straight to my heart. Cause like not in a bad way, like a good way of like, hey, wake up call, because I had a tendency to do that.
Yeah.
Right. And so now I'm finding myself like, oh man, like why was that the operating basis?
Yeah.
And then, okay, what activity am I going to replace that with? You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's been a thing that for me, I want to give you credit for. If you find me easier to work with, it's Sean's fault. But what obviously that's an important thing. Can you talk about that for a second on like the importance of making it making a positive environment and how that just like doesn't fit in?
Yeah, for sure. Where would I start on that topic? I think I would start with throughout my life, kid all the way to older person. Still,
Bro, you're not old.
Still a kid,
Yeah.
just older kid.
There you go.
My observations of patterns is kind of a weird talent, I guess, that I've had. I was pretty good at chess. I wasn't like a chess master, but I was good at like seeing patterns. I'm also pretty artistic. Like I like sculpting and painting and all that artistic stuff.
Yeah.
I like math. That's maybe weird, but I do like math.
I love math.
So one of the patterns that I observed is that there are 5 sources of conflict on the planet. And they are sex, money, religion, politics, and food.
Wow. Yeah.
And if we look at every war or major conflict that's taken place, it has something to do with one of those 5. Yeah. For the longest time, it was religious wars, right?
Right.
There's still, unfortunately, some of those.
Yeah.
Political stuff, money is always like, and at times it's like more than one at the same time.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
They can combine.
Yeah. So I observed those as problems.
Yeah.
Or as sources of conflict is maybe a better way to put it. But food was the weird one. I don't mean from a conflict like war perspective, like people are not able to eat and they will actually fight to be able to survive.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's actually probably the most logical.
Yes. Yeah. But I observe daily interactions where people are trying to convince another person that person's food preferences are wrong. And it was always something that was interesting and comical to me. As like, you're not going to convince someone who loves mustard that mustard's bad just because you think mustard's bad. But you'll spend an immense amount of time trying to convince the other person that mustard's bad.
Wow.
Or you go out to eat and someone sees you eat something like, oh, you like water in a plastic cup? Oh, really? I mean, how can you drink what? Doesn't it taste bad to you?
Yeah.
And I would observe this throughout the year. So I had all of this like stored, like just observations of seeing this happen. Right. Yeah. And then adjacent to that, I had these beautiful women, my mother and my grandmother, who really got it into me in a very safe but effective way. It is never okay to make fun of others. Yeah. Now, here's the interesting part. Yeah. The things that they told me not to ever make fun of were all 5 of these.
Wow.
Never make fun of a person's sexual preferences, who they marry, whether they're whatever their orientations are. Just don't get into that.
Totally.
That's personal to some person.
Yeah.
You may not agree with it. You don't have to hang out with them.
Yeah.
But don't ever make fun of or belittle someone for those choices. Yeah. Religion?
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah.
Do you know how many? I remember my grandmother. You know, she was Catholic, and then anyway, things didn't work out with that way back when. Yeah. And then she became Methodist, which is not a knock on the Catholic faith. Beautiful faith, but Methodist, and I was raised Methodist, and we had friends that were Mormon and Jewish, and it didn't matter the faith. Yeah. It didn't matter the practice. Yeah. It was, you don't ever make fun of a person's beliefs. Yeah. Like, I mean, really the message to me is, how could you?
Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
Like, how could you?
Yeah.
Right.
Dude, stop saying that. You're making me feel bad.
And no. It's not directed at you. Yeah. And then of course politics. Right. And we had both sides, all sides. It's okay. Within our family, and Republican, Democrat, whatever. Yeah. Independent. Just don't. It's fine to have your opinion, but don't take it that step beyond of like trying to convince them that they're wrong, or trying to convince them that they're somehow less of a person because of their opinion. You know, money. There are people that have money, the people that don't have money, the people that care about money, the people that don't care about money. That's their choice. Yeah. And I've met some of the happiest, most amazing people on the planet, and they're billionaires, and they are so wealthy, and they're genuinely happy. Yeah. And I've met the happiest, most brilliant, amazing people on the planet, and they don't make more than $100,000 a year. Right. And they couldn't be happier. Yeah. Money has nothing to do with it.
That's right.
Right. Yeah. And then food. And you see, food is the one that I observed all the time. Yeah. Because in my family, we didn't make fun of religion. Like, I'd have a friend come over, they were Mormon. It was just embraced. That's great. Like there was never any effort on our part to try to convert that person to Christianity. Or if I had a friend that was Jewish, like vice versa. Like my parents are really safe about that. Like respect and admire all faiths.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because they really supported the faiths that got picked on. They supported, and I say that because they didn't like it. They didn't like that Mormons got picked on. They didn't like that people of the Judaic faith or people that were Jewish got picked on.
Yeah.
Scientology is another one. They didn't like that people got picked on about these faiths. Like they were like, that's not okay.
Yeah.
This is what these people believe. You may not like it. You may think it's stupid. That's fine. But be respectful, right? And that's the way I was raised, right? So you had like all of that stuff there, but I saw it in food. And that's where I saw it daily was on food.
Yeah.
I go to the lunchroom in high school. Like, oh, you're eating the meatloaf. The meatloaf tastes like crap. Like, oh, you're so stupid. Like, how does my intelligence have anything to do with the fact that I prefer eating meatloaf? Like, those two have no correlation. There's no causation, and there's certainly not even a correlate. It's like I just like so I was raised with this like this genuinely embedded like with my mom and my grandmother.
By the way, that was a great plug for all the stats nerds out there.
Oh yeah,
like statistics 101, correlation does not equal causation.
Oh yeah. I mean, just like understanding doesn't equal agreement.
That's right.
And that was another beautiful lesson that my mom and my grandmother really like got in me.
Damn, that's powerful.
Like I get upset because somebody didn't agree. Like I come home and I was at school trying to convince someone that French fries with mustard and pepper was better than French fries with ketchup or something, right? Which is something I would have tried to do at that time. And I'd come home frustrated that I couldn't get agreement. I'm trying to get everybody to agree that mustard is better than ketchup. And I can remember my mother in examples like that and other examples like, honey, it's fine to make sure you're understood. And that's a really valuable thing to do.
Yeah.
But forcing your agreement on others, that's not a good thing to do.
Wow.
That means that you are forcing someone to do something that they may not want to do. Do you like being forced to do things? She would always put it in that like just sort of like, oh yeah, you're right, Mom. That's actually a really bad idea. That's actually terrible. Like now that I think about it, or do you think that another great example, because I have a lot of friends that are Catholic and I really admire that faith, and I went to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Do you really think that the Catholic faith loves having all of these one-off, not ethical people who have done unethical things be associated with the whole group as though the whole faith is bad because one person does something that's really terrible?
Yeah, right.
They don't like that.
Yeah.
Like, stop that. Like, there are lots of stupid people in every group.
Totally. Totally.
Or maybe some stupid people in every group. Right? Maybe not lots, but it was all of these interconnections on these 5 topics and never making fun of them.
Wow.
That as well as this lesson of like understanding is not the same as agreement. You can get someone to understand your point of view. Yeah. But don't force them to agree, and be at peace with the idea that they may never agree.
Yeah, that's right.
That they may just never agree. And that's okay.
Yeah.
It's totally okay.
Yeah.
Right? You want to bring this back to business?
Totally, yeah.
Okay, so let's bring this back to business, because this gets asked all the time, and I'm happy to go on record on this.
Yeah.
Work from home.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a topic, right?
Dude, this is great. We probably don't agree on this.
Well, I think
we probably understand each other, but don't agree.
We're going to find some common ground.
Good.
But before we're done, we're going to find
it's going to be a practical here.
Work from home.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, the first company I always worked in an office, first of all, like throughout my career.
Yeah. Same, me too.
Started a company.
Except when my company was so small that it was run out of a home office.
Yeah, sure. And I had the same thing where I was started a company. Eventually, we were able to buy a beautiful 30,000 square foot building. Wow. We put a lot of money into it. And my goal was, with the engineers and designers, was to make it feel like Christmas morning.
Yeah.
That's not to be religious. That's just what I said.
Yeah.
So I wanted people to feel like every day coming into the office was like that same level of excitement and enthusiasm. So it had warm colors, brick. We had all the cool stuff.
Yeah.
Huge fan of all that. COVID happened. Folks went home, and many wanted to stay home. And I shifted my point of view on that. Yeah. Was willing to experience them, and productivity went up. So I was.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I was in no way There was no evidence that working from home was in any meaningful way deteriorating the success of our organization.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then now we fast forward. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we go through all those years that have come since then.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of talk from individuals. I think Elon Musk is a huge advocate of work from the office.
Mm-hmm.
There are others that are big advocates of work from home, and it's better for this and better for that.
Yeah.
Let's just pause the movie.
Yeah.
Okay. Agreement is not the same as understanding.
That's right.
Right. And making fun of or belittling someone else's point of view is never a good way to make friends and or create meaningful relationships where people feel happy at work.
Totally. Yeah.
So here's the advice I give to any executive, whether it's Elon or whether it's a new person starting their business.
Yeah.
Choose what you want to do. Let the world know.
Yep. That's right.
And stay true to that.
That's it. Yeah.
And it's that simple.
Yep.
If you have a work from office environment and you believe that's the best, great.
Yeah.
Let everybody know. Let every person that's being recruited know this is how we operate.
Yep.
And they all know what they're getting into before they get into
That's
it, right?
That's right.
Conversely, if you're a work from home, this is the way we are. We're work from home. We don't want to be in an office. And then politely stop making fun of people that don't have your point of view.
Yeah. Totally.
Because you're never going to convince them that you're right and they're wrong.
Yeah.
And it's a waste of time. I mean, does it really matter to you that company over there doesn't work in an office? No, fuck all. Like, let them do what the hell they want to do.
Yeah.
Like, stop all the conflict.
Yeah.
Like, this.
I should have known there was going to be some brilliant, like Shon, like make no one wrong type thing, which is also at the same point completely true.
Yeah.
You know, what you said is true. Like for us, we have a hardcore work from office culture.
Yeah.
And because that's what that's like. Awesome. And that's just how we roll. And exactly what you said. We make it very clear from day one. Yeah. And it's like all the executives know, like, you know, somebody brings it up, you just let them know, hey, we don't do that here. Yeah. Like I understand like that might be appealing to you. And, you know, we were very clear up front on like, this is how we do it. And it's not going to change because that's our successful action.
Yeah.
You know,
100%. And it's good that you own it and you know it and that you're not shy about it. Yeah. And you're not on some mission to convince the world that you're right. Like, of course you're right. It's your business. You know, you do what's right for your business.
I'm just trying to build their houses. I don't need to be right.
Right. Yeah. 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 We have a work remote setup right now with Amazing Workplace. Yeah. And we've got folks all over the country, which is great. Yeah. Now that I'm in Florida with grandparents and I've got relatively newborn, 18 months isn't really a newborn.
Bro, no, he's a toddler now.
Yeah, he's a toddler. Yeah. And we're here now, right? Yeah. So I am going to get an office. Oh, wow. And I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. And was recently, even being in your offices reminds me of, I kind of miss it. Like I enjoy it. My organization isn't going to force or ask people to come to this office. Sure. Because that's just, for me, the right balance is those that want to work from home, great. Those that want to be in an office, great. And I prefer that. Yeah. It's not a right or wrong. It's just what I prefer. Mm-hmm. And then I just hire for that. You know, hire people that also prefer that. You know, if there's somebody that wants everybody in the office, they're going to be miserable working in our organization, right? Because we're flexible. Yeah. And we just they're going to try to be hardcore and you're going to be like, it's not relax. Yeah. It's not going to work. We're not going to get folks that live in Oklahoma and move to Florida, right? Or the folks in California, whatever. But anyway.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. A question that I had for you, this is probably be my last question.
Okay.
Is actually, I guess my question is, do you see yourself going onto social media? Is that a thing that is in the future for Shon Holyfield?
It is. It is. So,
and by going on, I mean just outflow. I don't like personally. I don't really consume any social media other than YouTube. I watch long form YouTube videos, but I don't consume. I mean, put your message out there to the world.
Yeah, 100%. The short answer is yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm guessing I'm not alone in having made this mistake in that yes. I have taken for granted that there are things that either I know I've done or others within my organization know and or have done.
Yeah.
I've made the mistake of not making time to share that.
Yeah.
There's value in sharing that. And I know this is true.
By the way, massive value, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know it's true just from the experiences I've had with my team. I had a meeting with staff at my old company now back in 2017.
Yeah.
2017, 2016. I shared with the team at that time that when I came out of law school, I was making just under $40,000 a year. I had this was in 99, and I had a 1989, so decade old Honda Accord with no air conditioning or heat.
Classic.
In Atlanta. Drove it for 2 years.
Oh my God.
I actually drove it until the radiator fell out of the front. Yeah, it was just like, it's what I can afford.
So in the winter, you'd be bundled in the car?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like I could see my breath the whole way to work in the winter. And then in the summer, it was the windows down, like, just sweating, pools, right? But, and that's not a woe is me story. It's just that's just where I was. Like I was doing debts consolidation. I didn't have a lot of money. And I'd taken the job in DC, District of Columbia, for the law firm that was paying 3 times what I was making, then it would have been a different story. But, but I wouldn't have been as happy. Yeah. So I was cold, I was hot, but I was happy. So,
it's not always the pay, and it's not always the car that drive happiness.
No, it's definitely not.
In fact, it's rarely those.
It's rarely those. But put me back on track. You were asking me specifically to talk about.
Yeah. So sharing your experiences and your, just like your viewpoint on social media.
Oh, that's right. Thank you.
Yeah.
So that's why I was getting deep into the story, and I forgot the social media connection because I still don't do social media. This is why I can't even think about it. Okay. Like I'm stupid in this area. Like it's like TikTok or FaceTalk or what are these platforms called?
Oh man,
is it Z or is it X? Is it? I'm joking. I'm joking. So I shared the stories of what my life.
He's a dad 3 times over, in case you couldn't tell.
Yeah. With my staff of like, and it was like a one-off conversation. It wasn't even something I repeated. And I had more than one person come up to me afterwards and thank me for sharing that it's normal. The message was that it is normal to work oneself up from wherever they start professionally to a point of where money is less of the focus and time is more of the problem.
Right.
But prior to that, it's kind of the opposite. Truly. That's right. It's like, you have maybe more time.
It's like, I got all this time. Will somebody please give me some money for it?
Yeah. Or, like I think of my younger self, I spent a lot of time doing house projects because I had the time. Mm-hmm. Like you fast forward, I now would much rather have your professionals do that work because time is the commodity I'm lacking. Right. Plus, you're going to do a way better job than I. And I did good work, but your team does phenomenal work, like insane good work.
Thank you.
So I shared this story, and it was something that I had multiple people come to me afterwards and thank me for sharing the story. One of them was in tears, and she actually said, "I felt like I was alone, like I was the only one going through this." And you shared because I walked through that's what that looked like, and then how I progressed from there to a point where I wasn't in debt. I was able to kind of get beyond that at that time. And just the story was helpful for her to give her hope that, and I think she was like 28, that as a 28-year-old that, maybe by the time I think I was I was in my 40s before I really got out of debt because I had all the debt tied to the business and stuff. But I mean, there was hope. There was a light at the end of the tunnel, right? Yeah. So when we talk about social media, sort of outflow or sharing, a lot of it is maybe to share information with others that can be beneficial and helpful. And that kind of ties into my purpose anyway, because I love helping people or improving people's lives. Yeah. So yes, I'm going to, I've already started slowly the process of creating content, and I'm going to be working on doing a lot more.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And also podcasts. Like one of the things that we're wanting to do at our company is this right here. Yeah. Which is what you're doing successfully at Home Love. Yeah. So yeah, it's cool.
Good, man. Yeah. Good. Well, I'm glad. I think I probably already, you have an Instagram, don't you? I think you do have one. It's just not, you don't, I think it's maybe not active. I feel like I remember I follow you on Instagram. No?
Instabook?
Shut the fuck up. God damn it.
No, I'm
anyways.
So I do, in full transparency, the social media accounts that were created on my behalf.
Yeah.
By members of my team.
You can just find them by looking up Shon Holyfield.
I have not actively gone in and grabbed those, with the one exception being LinkedIn, which I am.
You're super active.
I'm now doing that.
I should actually revise what I said. You're quite active on LinkedIn, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Anyways, from a third party, it looks like you're very active.
Yeah. And the goal is to move in that direction on the rest of social media, because the platform that we built, the people platform, I mean, we've got big organizations that use it, but it's also just a great way to have a conversation with anybody. So at least in our organization, we often say surveys are for monkeys, conversations are for people.
Oh.
Stop monkeying around with surveys that look like tests.
Such...
When
that's so good.
when you can actually have conversations with people, and when you look at our technology, it's like, wow, this actually looks and feels like a conversation, like a text conversation or like a conversation.
Right? For monkeys.
Or you could take tests if you like tests. I mean, I don't really love tests.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Survey tests. I mean, it's all survey, from a definition, which is the activity of going out and finding out information from a group of people by asking questions. But that process doesn't have to look like a standardized test that you took in high school.
That's right.
And that conversation technology that we created that feels more like a text program, it's like, it's got acknowledgements. Yeah. It's like, wow, it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking to a little programmer. It's cool. It's cool.
Amazing, bro. Yeah.
So getting that out and helping people with that information is useful, as well as sharing any other stuff that people want to know about.
Yeah. And just so I'm super clear on it, it's not like it's literally just the communication lines of the world. Like we were talking about the other day, and you say valuable things.
Thank you.
You did. Like, it's just a thing that I have observed about you is you say valuable things. You have experiences that other people, a lot of other people, by the way, are trying to, and you have had successes that other people would like to emulate, would love to emulate.
Yeah.
And you did it in a way that, I mean, it's very, I don't know. Your story is very real. And obviously I know you personally, so you're very real to me. So I just think you should be real to more people. That's my personal viewpoint, Thank you. Yeah, totally, man.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So,
well, this is a good step of kind of getting out and about. I historically sat in my dungeon and just worked on software and simplified words and, talked to my staff and, encouraged or motivated them. But it is good to kind of get out and chat with people.
Yeah, it's really good.
I don't ever mind talking in front of groups. I mean, I was keynote speaker last year at Dallas event, doing it again in April. So
good. Well, I can't wait to see it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Brother, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.